All right, cue fake podcast music. Ba-da-da-da-da.
Dun dun.
Hello and welcome to Michigan and Other Mayhem, the show about Michigan, murder, mysteries, and other random mayhem from around the world. Your hosts are Allie
And Jen.
And today I want to finally go over a subject that was actually suggested to us before we even launched our first podcast, which is the Oakland County child killer, which was a serial killer in the 1970s that was never found.
See, I didn't know that.
Yeah. Bummed me the hell out.
Really?
Yes.
I always thought that was a solved one.
It is not solved. And I go over at the end 5 suspects. And there's one that I think is pretty good for it.
And they're still working on it.
No, they closed it actually in 1978. It's
Why?
a cold case. They figured there's nothing else to be done.
Hmm.
Because since then, well, there's been other children murders, etc., but not with that MO.
I see.
Yeah.
I'm going to talk about 3 places people can visit. 2 of them are museums, and one's a house.
Like true crime museums?
Yep, true crime.
And is it a true crime like house?
Yep, true crime house.
Oh, nice. So
It was under the museum section, but I don't want to consider it a museum because it's a house. You can stay in it.
Oh, wow.
You pay to stay in it.
Oh, that's actually kind of cool.
Yep. So where to go for true crime, and there's actually not that much.
Really?
Yeah.
Surprisingly, people
In
don't want to stay
museum
where people are
section.
dead.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know why, because
Right.
I mean, I was thinking, hey, we need to stay here.
Well, you know what? I'd give it a shot.
Yeah, might as well. I mean, I'm out for seeing a ghost.
My mom
Let's
gave
do
us
this.
axe throwing lessons for Christmas. As you could see, in my family, we just like to go all in.
Yeah. Well, that'll be good. You'll know how to throw an axe.
Yeah.
So that when we stay here,
Right.
you can save us.
That's good. And hopefully I'll get some accuracy so we can get some distance on that thing.
Yeah, if you don't, we're not going.
Yeah, well, don't forget that surviving a serial killer is all about running and getting away. It's never getting caught in the first place. So we got to be able to not get caught in the first place.
Yeah, but you need to be able to practice. So when you go to these lessons,
Mm-hmm.
you have to be running and throwing.
True.
Running, turn, throw.
I got to practice that. You're right.
Yeah.
Because what's the point of just standing still? I'm going to be running my
Yeah,
ass
you're going
off.
to run.
Okay,
you have
right.
to be able to turn swiftly, hit your target, and continue to run.
Just like when you see those guys in football practicing, they're running, turn, catch the ball. Like, I'll do
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
That's a
Oh,
good idea.
God.
So
you
you could...
probably need EMS there.
Right. What we'll do is you'll go last. You'll be the palate cleanser since I talk about children dying.
Yeah, and I have to mention this.
Yeah.
So, I am so klutzy.
Yeah.
Just the craziest things happen
Yeah.
to me. The other night, I opened my kitchen cabinet that I have opened for over 20 years.
Yeah.
It like hits me right in the eyeball. Okay, the corner of it. And then I'm messing around with my son. We're wrestling. I go to jump on him and he has his hand in a fist closed.
Uh-huh.
And I just run right into his fist. And like just messed my jaw up. I also got injured a few weeks ago from the bathroom door injured me.
How'd that happen?
I hit my elbow on the side of the door
Uh-huh.
and like lost all feeling. It took like a week to get that back. Like it was that bad. So like all this is happening, and then last night was when I was wrestling with my son and I ran into his fist. And he said he knew about the axe throwing. He said, I don't think you should go.
Right? Or if anything, you should just watch.
Yeah,
How about that?
I don't even know if that's safe at this point.
Right. We'll tie you to a
I'm
chair
gonna sit in
like
the
20
car.
feet behind us.
Yeah, so I can't hurt myself.
Right, because you'll hurt yourself when there's no dangerous objects. I try to tell people, and they always look at me like I'm crazy, but I'm like, at home, I'm not even allowed to use a knife. They look at me crazy, but it's like, no, it's serious.
Yeah,
My
me
husband
too.
will bring my food to the dinner table cut up.
Yeah. I mean, totally. That's what I need.
Yeah.
And I need to live in a house that's padded.
Yeah, if I ask for a knife, he brings me butter knives.
Yeah. So it got me thinking, like, okay, one, yes, my son is correct. I need to stay away from the axe throwing about 50 feet.
Yeah.
And then on top of that, it got me thinking, like, okay, if I am being chased by a serial killer or anything, I'm just in trouble.
You're going to be one of those girls that falls down in the horror movie. She's
Yes.
running around and just all of a sudden just falls.
Yep.
That's you.
Yeah. You think that's, you watch those kind of horror movies and like, you're like,
Yeah.
give me a break.
Like nobody
but
just
no,
fall
that's
for
real.
no reason. Yeah.
That's real life.
Yeah, I believe you.
Yeah.
There's this one girl in high school had a huge bruise on her cheek. I'm like, what happened? She's like, I walked into a wall. I was like, I get it. No, dude, I get it.
That's so great.
Yeah.
All right,
I'll go first. Oh, well, you know what I have to start with?
what?
It's sad, but I have more corrections. Like, I get corrected all the time. It got to the point where I'm like, I don't even want to do a Paley podcast about it. Forget it. It's always me.
You know, when we were talking about this,
Yeah.
I had mentioned, like, I don't think anybody listens to me. I haven't got one single correction.
That's probably because you pronounce things correctly
No,
and
I
have
don't.
the correct dates. I do things like say 1980 when I was supposed to say 1880. And at one point, my sister, and that's probably because your brother doesn't listen as hard, maybe my sister loves to correct me. She was like, at one point you said salon, but then you corrected yourself and said saloon. And I was like, why bring it up, bitch? But other corrections. One of them was, I'm in a constant state of being corrected here. So remember when I said Potawatomi? No, I said Potawatomi. It's actually Potawatomi.
Potawatomi.
Yeah, and it got to the point where I'm at Christmas, and my older sister, who corrected me on the same podcast with us, she was like, come here, Allie, say it again, what did you say? And I'd be like, Potawatomi. Okay, now say it the right way. And I was like, Potawatomi.
Your family's so sweet.
Yes, she's so sweet. Thank goodness for older sisters. What can I say? And the other one is Shelly corrected me. We were talking about the Rudolph special, and I said his girlfriend's name is Cindy. Mm-hmm. But his girlfriend's name is Clarice.
Yeah, Clarice is a dumb name.
Well, Clarice
For
reminds me of
reindeer.
Silence of the Lambs. Hello, Clarice. When he says that. And I thought
That's not a reindeer name,
Right?
Clarice.
And maybe I just thought it was Cindy because that's the name of Shelly's lady.
Isn't Cindy
Uh-huh.
the girl on The Grinch That Stole Christmas?
Oh, Cindy Lou Who?
Yeah.
Oh, I was probably all messed up.
There you go.
See why I get corrected?
Oh, that's great.
All right, so I'm going to tell you guys about the Oakland County child killer, and it's not good. The Oakland County child killer was a person, and we're going to presume that it was a male. Okay, and I'm going to say he from now on, but we don't know. It's they're uncaught. They were responsible for the death of at least 4 children between 1976 and 1977, a 13-month period. This person was also referred to as the babysitter or the babysitter killer because the children were held for 4 to 19 days before being murdered.
Really?
Yeah, so he kept a hold of them for a few days. The Oakland County child killer responsible for the death of 2 boys and 2 girls between the ages of 10 and 12 years old. And as I said before, his identity remains unknown. The first victim was 12-year-old Mark Stebbins. Mark was last seen leaving an American Legion Hall Sunday, February 15th, 1976. He had told his mom he was going home to watch a movie on television. That was back in the day when we didn't have VCRs. And like once a year they'd play a movie. Oh yeah. Well, I used to wait for The Wizard of Oz, which I know is a movie that you love. But I used to wait every year. Like it was special. The time that Wizard of Oz used to come on the TV. I used to like search the TV guides for it. So I would be ready when it came on. And this was what Mark was doing. He's going home to see a movie. When Mark wasn't home by 11 p.m. that night, his mother called the police to report him missing. Mark Stebbins was found February 19th, 1976, neatly laid out in a snowbank less than a 20-minute drive away from where he disappeared. There were rope marks on his wrists and ankles, and it was believed that he had been bound throughout his activity. He's bound. There's no activity. Damn it, Allie, why? I meant to say captivity. He was bound throughout his captivity. Mark had been sexually assaulted with an object, had 2 lacerations on the back of his head, and he had been strangled. He was wearing the last outfit he was seen in. According to a witness in the area, the body had to have been placed in the parking lot snowbank before 9:30 that morning because they had been there and it wasn't there, and when they came back it was.
Okay.
The second victim was 12-year-old Jill Robinson. Jill had argued with her mom about chores and ran away from home right before Christmas, Wednesday, December 22nd, 1976. The day after her disappearance, her bike was found behind a hobby store. Jill's body was found the day after Christmas, December 26, 1976, on the side of an interstate in a nearby city. She was shot where she lay, on her back on the ground, with a 12-gauge shotgun blast to the face. Evidence showed she was also asphyxiated. Her body was covered in snow when Jill was found. She was within view of Troy, Michigan Police Station, so you could see the police station from where her body was. She was fully clothed and still wearing the backpack she had bundled up while running away.
So he's laying these bodies out
Oh, yeah.
in places somebody could catch them.
Yes. And what really bothered me, she was still had her backpack that she used to run away. Like when I was 8 and ran away, I did shit like grabbed a stuffed animal, my favorite blanket.
I just walked out the door.
A pillow. Oh, I tried to get my moon boots on with no socks. You literally cannot put on moon boots with no socks. And then the window was like frozen shut, and I kept trying to get out of it. And when I couldn't get out, I said, I'm going to walk through the front door. And my dad was like, I dare you. And I was just like, I guess I'm not leaving. But I just felt so sad. She probably had stupid shit in her backpack. You know, she was 12. The third victim was 10-year-old Christine. I think it's Mihalich. Please don't correct me, anybody.
How do you spell it?
Mihelich. Mihalich. Sorry, guys. She was last seen on Sunday, January 2nd, 1977, at a 7-Eleven around 3 p.m. buying a magazine. Christine's mom reported her missing 3 hours later. Her body was found by a mail carrier 19 days after she was reported missing. Christine's hands were on her chest in what is considered the typical funeral pose. You know, you cross your arms and your hands are on your chest. Christine had been smothered to death. A medical examiner determined that she had been dead for less than 24 hours. So they had her for like 18 days, 19 days. The fourth victim was 11-year-old Timothy King. He was last seen Wednesday, March 16th, 1977, around 8:30 p.m. Timothy left home on his skateboard to go to a corner store. Timothy left via the store's back door and was never seen again. His disappearance was heavily covered in the media, considering the deaths of the 3 previously abducted children. Law enforcement had just made the serial connection after Christine's death, and she was the 3rd victim. So now they realized, you know, after she died, there's a serial killer, then this kid disappears. Okay. So shit starts jumping. Timothy's father and mother, Barry and Marion King, pled for the release of their son, both on newscasts and via letters to the Detroit News. In Marion's letter, she spoke of hoping her son would come home so that she could serve him his favorite meal, which was Kentucky Fried Chicken. On March 22nd, 6 days after his disappearance, 2 teenagers driving down the road saw Timothy's body in a ditch. His skateboard was placed next to his body. His clothes had been neatly washed and pressed. Timothy had been suffocated and sexually assaulted with an object. A post-mortem autopsy revealed that he had been fed fried chicken before he died. Oh. Those fucking assholes, that fucking asshole. It was determined that he had died 6 hours before his body was found. So they know his mom is pleading, let my son come home so I can give him his favorite meal, and they give it to him instead and then kill him.
That's shitty.
They are, yeah, I say they because I think it's a group. I think it's 2 dudes, but we'll get to that. Because I totally think one guy that's a suspect was in it with a friend, which I'll tell you.
Well, yeah, I mean, you would think that
he would probably need help
abducting. Would need help.
Yeah, abducting, subduing, and then keeping them hidden for however long. Yeah. There were 2 other known child abductions and murders in the area around the same time. Cynthia Cadeau, age 16, had been abducted and bludgeoned to death on January 15th, 1976. Cynthia left a friend's home around 8:30 p.m. and her corpse was found 5 hours later. She was nude and had been raped. Jane Allen, age 14, was found floating in a river in Ohio after hitchhiking out of Royal Oak, Michigan. Her wrists were found bound behind her back using strips of cloth from a t-shirt. Decomposition was too advanced to tell if she had been sexually assaulted. It was believed she had died via carbon monoxide poisoning. I just thought that was kind of weird. So at the time, the search for the killer was the biggest in U.S. history. It was the biggest serial killer search we've ever had at this point. The children's deaths were covered by both the Detroit's newspapers, the Detroit News and the Detroit Free Press. They were talked about on radio and television news shows. The Michigan State Police were part of a task force that included officials from 13 communities, including the FBI. The killer of these children was never found, but the police were able to bust a multi-state child prostitution and pornography ring that was operating out of North Fox Island in Lake Michigan. A wealthy man named Francis Sheldon, grandson to a former mayor of Michigan, bought North Fox Island and created a program called Brother Paul's Children's Mission. It's not a good thing. The island was supposed to be a retreat for at-risk young boys. In reality, it was a secluded island where wealthy clients flew in to have sex with little boys. It grew to sick. I know. They took these boys, these at-risk boys, flew them to an island where now they're captive, and then used them for pornography and prostitution. It grew to be the largest child pornography distribution network in the country before being shut down. Yeah, and that came to be through them looking for the Oakland County child killer. They found this prostitution ring instead. So here's who I think it is. I'll start with this. So there were at least 5 suspects before the investigation was shut down December 1978. The first suspect, the one I think that did it, is Chris Bush. He was the son of a high-level General Motors executive. This is the person that Barry King, Timothy's father, believes is responsible for the death. Gregory Green, which is Chris's friend, and Christopher Bush were both arrested for criminal sexual conduct charges. So this guy is a known pedophile. Gregory told the police that Chris had killed Mark Stebbins. That's the first missing child. Both passed polygraph examinations regarding the serial killings. Gregory was convicted and sent to prison for life for sexually assaulting a young boy in a different case. Chris Bush was given probation for the same charges. So they both rape and torture this kid. One goes to jail for one gets probation. He also had his bond reduced. This is Chris Bush. Had his bond reduced from $75,000, an amount that he and Gregory both shared. They both had $75,000 bonds, and a judge reduced Chris's down to $1,000. So that's how he gets out of jail. Christopher is convicted again of pedophilia and is again given probation. So at this point somebody's pulling strings, throwing money somewhere. Yeah. The men that were abducting. The men were said to be driving, Greg and Christopher, a blue Vega with a white stripe. And there was a blue car with a white stripe that was seen talking to one of the children. So they think it might be his. Chris was suspected to be involved in the child pornography ring on North Fox Island, and he was a convicted pedophile. He also lived in the area of the children's death. Bloodstained ligatures were found in his apartment, along with a sketched image of a boy screaming in agony. The face of the boy is supposed to be that of the first victim, Mark Stebbins. It is also said that the hoodie that the boy in the picture is wearing matched Mark's clothing at the time he disappeared. He was wearing a hoodie too. It was believed that Chris committed suicide Thursday, the 16th of November 1978, via gunshot. His maid arrived to his residence on Monday the 20th and found his front door locked with a chain from the inside and mail piled up in front of it. Chris was supposed to have started a new job that day. The maid went to the neighbor's house and called Chris's brother Charles and the police. And I wrote, because no cell phones. So that's when you had to go to a neighbor's house and say, may I please use the phone? I need to call the police. They had to break a chain that was across the front door to get in. A TV guide was found in the living room, open to Thursday's movie guide. And according to the police report, Chris was found lying face up on his bed with a gunshot wound to his head, and a .22 rifle next to him still pointed at his head. There are sections of the document that were whited out because I was reading the police report, so I wasn't able to read every word, but it looks like mostly from what I can tell, they just blacked out names. But here's what I found suspicious. Hold on. Christopher Bush was not found with gunshot residue on his hands. But he did have visible scars on his wrist from previous suicide attempts from 2 years previous. But I thought, one, it's weird when you use a rifle to commit suicide, because normally you actually have to pull the trigger with your toe, right? Because the rifle's so long, your hand can't reach the trigger while you put it up against you.
Yeah.
So they checked his hands for gunshot residue, but did they check his feet? You know what I mean? If there's no gunshot residue on him and he's not wearing gloves and he didn't shoot himself, I don't care where the gun was.
See, and right now, well, the gun was by his head.
Yeah. Well, actually, I saw a picture of it from the thing. So he's lying on his back on the bed with his arms out, and the rifle is literally laying on the bed, pointed at his head still. Wouldn't it have flung somewhere? Wouldn't it have fallen somewhere?
So as you started explaining this, I just thought it was the other guy that went in, because this guy was going to confess. The other guy didn't want him to confess, so he went in there, staged the whole scene.
Greg's in jail for life.
Oh.
Now, Chris is the one that doesn't go to jail. Greg is a normal dude, doesn't have parental money and power backing him up. I'm going to tell you some other things that makes Chris...
Maybe somebody knew he was doing it and killed him. Oh,
that's what I was thinking. Maybe even whoever's covering up for him was like, I covered up too much and they killed him or something. So here we go. In 2008, the police followed up on new leads and focused on Christopher Bush. In 2010, he was declared no longer a suspect. I thought that was a little hanky. Barry King, Timothy's dad, has filed 3 appeals in his son's case. Charges against Chris Bush are marked do not release under any circumstances. Why? Why is this stuff confidential? I think it has something to do with something. Mr. King would like all the documents related to the case to be open to the public, and he has used the Freedom of Information Act to try to do it. Barry King's last appeal, filed on December 13, 2016, was denied by the Michigan Supreme Court.
But can you do that? Because it's still technically an open case. Cold case.
Yeah, but nope, you can do that. And Christopher's things are marked do not release under any circumstances. That means his stuff is absolutely confidential. Why? I just find it totally hanky. Another suspect was John Wayne Gacy, who was investigated. John is known for being a serial killer of at least 33 young boys. There were times that he worked as a clown in children's parties. That's the killer. That's John Wayne Gacy. A witness to Timothy King's abduction had mentioned 2 men in a car talking to the boy. The description of one of the men matched John Wayne Gacy. This same suspect said that the men were driving a blue Gremlin with a white stripe. Some people believe that the suspect saw Chris Bush's blue Vega that was also known to have a white stripe. John Wayne Gacy, was also in Michigan around the time of the murders. According to DNA tests done, though, in 2013, he was not involved in the killings. So they couldn't find any of his DNA on any of the guys or girls. There was a suspect named James Vincent Gunnels. He was repeatedly sexually assaulted by Chris Bush as a young teenager. James was also one of the children that had been involved in the North Fox Island child prostitution and pornography ring. So he was one of the victims, this boy was. His hair was a mitochondrial DNA match for hair found on the body of the first female victim, which was Christine Milich. However, the DNA was so degraded that no further testing could be done. So they couldn't test anything else. Another suspect is Archibald Edward Salone, who was a known pedophile. Hair samples were found in his 1966 Pontiac Bonneville that matched both murdered boys. But he often let his pedophile friends borrow the car, so they couldn't associate directly to him. An associate of Archibald also was linked to the body of the 2 slain boys. They found his hair at the crime scene. Archibald Salone worked in the area of the killings. He was later arrested again for first-degree criminal sexual conduct and was sentenced to life in prison January 1985. So he's also in jail for life. Here's the weird one. A more obscure suspect only goes by the name of Alan. Alan claimed to be a sadomasochistic slave of a roommate named Frank, and Frank was the serial killer. A letter he sent to the police was poorly written and showed signs of guilt over the killings. Alan claimed that he helped Frank cruise for children, but that he was never around when they were abducted. Frank's motivation was being traumatized by killing children in Vietnam, and he was retaliating by killing the children of people who were affluent citizens, and he felt that he felt he wasn't compensating for going to war. So he's killing rich people's kids to get back at them for going to war that he was not compensated for. Alan claimed that Frank drove a blue Gremlin, but that he got rid of it in Ohio. A psychiatrist with the task force, Dr. Bruce Danto, believed that the letter was authentic. Alan had Dr. Danto send him a coded message in the personal ads. When Danto did as instructed, Alan called him and offered him photographic evidence that he knows that Frank was the killer. And Alan never showed up at the meeting spot and was never heard again, though. There is evidence that connects all 4 murders together. And that was hair from the same white dog was found on all 4 victims, but that's it.
Did anyone have a white dog?
Not that they could find any direct link. And so it is an unsolved cold case that they stopped actively investigating December 1978.
So,
yeah.
Chris, right, is the one that died.
That supposedly killed himself. Yeah.
So after he killed himself, there was no more murders?
Nope. There wasn't any after Timothy King, which happened in 1977. And that's when the child ring gets busted. He commit suicide in November of 78. So I don't know if at that point, like, things were getting too hot, or if that person was found, or if they just stopped dumping the bodies in obvious places and just started dumping them in less obvious places. Or if they were part of that child pornography ring, which gets busted,
Yeah.
Maybe they were one of the people busted for that. So there's so many reasons why they could have stopped. Yeah.
Yeah, it's crazy, dude.
So give me something better to think about. Yeah, this was suggested before our first podcast, and it took me forever because it involves children and it's unsolved.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, what you got?
I got 3 places to visit, which 2 of them we're definitely going to.
Okay.
The third one, maybe.
I still want to go to the dinosaur gardens in Osaniki.
Yeah, we need to.
We could day trip that one.
We could day trip that one.
Okay.
The first one I have is the Crime Museum. It's located in Washington,
D.C.?
Yeah, Washington, D.C.
Sometimes the English is so freaking hard.
I know. So this is a museum, talks about everything U.S., true crime in the U.S.
Really?
Yep.
That does sound interesting.
Like when I checked out their website, currently they're doing a exhibit on Alcatraz.
Ooh.
And crimes people did.
So they ended up in Alcatraz?
But the interesting fact about this museum,
yeah,
which is why I really, really want to go,
okay,
is that when it was established, in 2008. It was the first for-profit museum of crime.
Really?
Yeah. But one of the owners was John Walsh.
Oh my gosh, that's his son Adam died, right? His son Adam was killed. John Walsh's son Adam was killed. Was decapitated after he was lured away from a mall, right?
Yeah, I didn't know his name, but yeah.
Yeah. Yes.
And in this museum, they actually record, it has a recording studio, and they recorded Unsolved Mysteries there.
What?
Yeah, so I thought that was really
one
neat.
of my favorite shows.
I know, right?
Yeah.
I don't know why, though, those kind of shows just don't continue.
You know what? I've been watching Unsolved Mysteries on Hulu.
I didn't know it was on Hulu. I can't watch Hulu. It has a commercial, and I'm
too
good for commercials now that I've watched Netflix for years.
I'm actually delighted by commercials since it's been so long since I haven't had cable since 2011.
We got Hulu, and I'm watching it, and then a commercial comes on, and I had to call my son in and ask what was wrong with the TV.
You could pay $6 more and they won't do commercials.
Thank you.
Okay, I'm too cheap to not have commercials.
So definitely a place we should visit.
I'm down.
Then there is, and I'm going to pronounce it wrong.
Yeah.
Villisca.
Uh-huh.
Villisca.
Wait, isn't that an ex-murderer? Did you already talk about that one?
Did I?
Yeah. Tell me, what is this, a museum?
Well, was under museums when I looked it up.
Yeah.
But it's really not.
Oh, is this the house one?
It's a house. So
Okay.
it's the Villisca Axe Murder House.
Okay.
In Iowa.
Oh, maybe we didn't talk
It
about
doesn't.
it.
I talked about an axe murderer.
Okay.
But
that was Ben the
that's not
Evangelist, right? That was an ex-murder. Oh, guess what?
What?
When we did the Ben the Evangelist podcast, I asked you where his head was, and we talked about how we thought it probably just rolled around. Mm-hmm. I was reading one of my Christmas gifts, which was a true crime book in Michigan. Uh-huh. It was at his feet. Someone had placed his head at his feet. Everybody else was just axed to death, but his head was cut off and placed at his feet.
Okay. Mystery solved.
Yeah, that made me think of that one. Okay.
So this is it's a white farmhouse in Villisca, Iowa, or however you pronounce that.
Yeah.
In this house, a family
of,
let me see, I don't know.
Want me to look up real quick?
Yeah, I think it was, right here, it's in front of me. Here, Allie.
I hate when things hide in the open.
Yeah, I know. A family lived there. And a total of 8 people died. 2 of those people were guests.
What?
Yep.
Axed to death?
Yep, they were axed to death.
I know this one.
It was the Josiah, Josiah Moore family.
Okay, now I know why I know this one. I've actually read a few articles on this because nobody knows who killed that family.
Correct. It's secret is locked in the house.
The 2 guests were little kids that were visiting after a community function. I think maybe a church function.
Church function.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That one actually always messed me up. There's several theories on who did it.
Yeah. Well.
Yeah.
It's said to be haunted. And paranormal groups have went and visited there. And you and I can go and visit. You can do day tours. Yeah. Or, if we wanted, we can pay a large sum of money and stay there.
I would stay there, but, I sleep like a baby. I go to bed at 9 o'clock. You'd be up all night worrying about ghosts, and my ass would wait. I'd wake up at 3.
Well, see, we'd take turns on be able. You need to get up a little earlier, though, so we can split the difference there.
That's true. I could wake up at my normal 3 and then guard you.
So it is said that you can stay there. I'm not really sure why you would want to, but
probably paranormal. People looking for paranormal stuff.
Yeah. Other one. Yeah. We could visit if I would travel outside of the United States, because
where's it at?
It's in Hastings, England. And it is the True Crime Museum, called the True Crime Museum. So it has exhibits on the Jack the Ripper, and they actually have like real lethal injection beds, and
I think I actually have that on my list of interesting stuff to podcast about.
Really?
Yeah.
That's funny.
Yeah, I know. That's cool.
Well, I had looked up, like, where do we go to see true crime?
Yeah.
That was the one that came up. I'm like, oh, I totally want to go there, And I'm looking, I'm like, oh, yeah, we can't go there.
You're like, I can't fly over the ocean?
Yeah, I can't fly over the ocean.
What are you
and the fact that, That's a lot of money. We'd have to convince my brother that we should pay money to go there.
And that won't happen.
Yeah, that ain't gonna happen.
Yeah, not gonna work.
So I found, for the continuing conversation, I found a video
Ooh.
of the inside of the museum. So it'll be like we all went.
Nice. Yeah, you can throw that up for our continuing. Yeah.
And then I have more details on the other two places.
Sweet.
That I'll put up on the continuing conversation. But at least now we have 2 places we can add. I've never even been to Iowa. What is in Iowa? I don't even think
corn?
there is. Yeah.
Potatoes? I don't know. Wheat?
Yeah, probably wheat, soybeans.
Yeah.
I don't know, but it's a farmhouse in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah.
So I think we definitely need to put that on our list.
I'm down. You know I'll do it. All right, you've been listening to Michigan Another Mayhem with Allie.
And Jen.
Connect with us using...
using. What are we using?
You know what?
We're using electronic devices.
This is literally the 16th time I've read this, and yet I still can't get it right.
Yeah, but you don't. Yeah. Well, you just need to roll with it. You didn't roll. You should have been using electronic devices of your choice.
That's true. Actually, I just realized this is my 20th time if you include Piddly Podcast.
Yeah, that's true.
Damn,
I didn't want to point that out.
I know, it's I've never read before. That's what this is like. Connect with us at MichiganAnotherMayhem.com to join the conversation, listen to the podcast, access show notes, find site links, and correct us when necessary. Rate and subscribe to our podcast on iTunes, Google Play, Anchor, and YouTube. Oh, which reminds me of the YouTube thing. I told you there was a girl at work that I was telling her what a podcast is. She's like, so people can't see you? I would like to see you. And I was like, well, 1, I think that's called YouTube, which we are on YouTube, but you don't see us talking. It's just our logo. Yeah. But I was like, and 2, I podcast in my pajamas. Yeah. I constantly look like I'm electrocuted. My hair sticks up all over the place.
I mean, currently I actually rolled out of bed and did this. So.
Yeah, I took a shower and then got in pajamas.
People should thank us for not video.
That's true.
Yeah.
There'd be a lot of, you know what, people would be scared, but it'd be like the horror of having to look at us while we did this.
Yeah. We'd probably get less.
Less views.
Less views. Less listens.
All right, guys, check us out on Anchor, though. I really did like that one.
Yeah, that one's good.
All right, bye-bye now.